Welcome back to Court Vision. I'm Luke Backman here with my co-host Vincent Zakian. Post-trade deadline. A lot of craziness. I think Zach Lowe summed it up perfectly. He was on NBA Prime last night, and they asked him one word to describe it. He said weird. I think that's a fair way to describe this year's 2026 trade deadline. Before we get started, make sure you like this video, comment below what you thought about the trade deadline, the trades that were made, the trades that weren't made, and of course subscribe here to Backman Sports and go subscribe to Vincent Zakian's channel. He's covering everything football, Super Bowl related at Vincent Zakian, also in the description. But Vincent, just quickly, what was your, overall takeaway from this year's trade deadline before we get into specifics?
It's like a brave new world in terms of trades. I didn't think we'd get this many trades because of how insane things are with the salary cap and the tax and all that, and how teams are so enslaved to matching salaries now. But we got an absolute explosion of at the very least big names trading places, teams making some desperation moves, some teams holding back, some teams making inexplicable mistakes. It was way more exciting than I thought this trade deadline would be, and all that without having the big domino fall.
Right, let's start off the trade deadline with a trade that wasn't made, and what you were just alluding to. Giannis Antetokounmpo stays in Milwaukee. I know this was, Vincent and I were talking offline during the trade deadline, and we both, I was leaning towards he wasn't traded. I know Vincent on Tuesday was leaning towards he was traded. Tuesday was the day I was just telling Vincent this, that I thought, hey, this might actually happen, and then seems like the Timberwolves, I don't know, maybe their offer wasn't good, or just flat out Milwaukee wasn't wanting to trade him at the deadline and instead waiting till this summer where offers could be better, probably will be better. Vincent, just overall takeaway, Giannis staying in Milwaukee for the rest of the season.
Yeah, at the time of our last podcast, I think we were both on the side of he's probably going to get traded in the summer, but then on Tuesday, all these guys are getting dealt, and it felt like the Wolves and the Warriors especially were clearing out space to go make this move. And it turns out, the reporting actually suggests that the Heat were actually probably the most likely contender if someone was going to make that move. But it just felt like it had boiled to a point. But looking back, I think my takeaway is Giannis should have just demanded the trade. And that probably would have forced it through. They would have kind of had to do right by him because he's Giannis and they're the Bucks. And so I guess I find myself a little disappointed in Giannis. He's kind of doing He posted the video of Leonardo DiCaprio and the Wolf of Wall Street doing the "I'm not effing leaving." I don't know what he's talking about. I'm pretty sure he's the one who wanted to leave, and now I guess he's trying to get back in the fans' good graces now that he's got a whole half season left to play. But I didn't think I'd end up being surprised by him staying, but I am surprised. I thought he'd have a new team by now.
Yeah, it was interesting. You mentioned the tweet. He also talked with, I think it was a Milwaukee local reporter for a newspaper who covers the team. It was like, oh, I've never requested this trade. I 100% want to stay in Milwaukee. It's like, all right, we see that Giannis, you're flipping back and forth between, I don't know, maybe behind the scenes, whether or not you're saying I do want to be traded, but at least publicly you're saying, no, I'm the good guy in all of this. I love Milwaukee. I don't want to go, you don't want to be like a LeBron, like a Kevin Durant, like a James Harden that pushes the narrative. All right, let me get out of here. Let me do this. You want to be the nice guy, which is okay. In fairness, you can do that. But also, this lends Milwaukee not to have to rush and get you out of there. This is why you're still in Milwaukee, because if you said, I need out, I have to be out, Milwaukee would have traded you this trade deadline. But the fact you're flip-flopping, staying on the fence of, well, I want to be here, I don't want to be here. Yeah, I don't know. I do want to mention one thing, because you mentioned Miami seemed like the likely team at the end of it that was, okay, they were going to be the team. I saw a report yesterday saying that Miami and New York are the two destinations that if he is available this summer that he would like to be at. Of course, honestly, I don't know with reporting. The reporting was all over the place for this whole Giannis sweepstakes, and that's a story in itself. But I saw someone, I think it might have been Kendrick Perkins, so I don't love Perkins' takes, but he did say this. He said, maybe Giannis didn't push to be traded because the team he wants to get traded to didn't push to trade for him, and that's the New York Knicks.
That's interesting.
The Knicks went, as a recording, they played the Pistons tonight, but before the Pistons game, they've won 8 straight games, 4 games against playoff teams. And it's really solidified, all right, let's make a run with this team. And then in the summer, if we don't make the run, we can go all out for Giannis. So I think the Knicks, of course, checked in with him, but they didn't push the narrative like, all right, let's get the third team from Mikal Bridges. Let's get Cat. And so maybe Giannis realized the Knicks are on a little bit of a streak. I don't want to push this and they get traded to a team I don't want to be at, and then be like, oh, when I'm a free agent, I'll just leave then too. That could be double. I don't know. I think it'll be interesting this summer. But again, yeah, it was just a strange deadline with Giannis. Do you predict he wants out of Milwaukee? I mean, this is getting ahead of ourselves into the summer, but do you think he gets traded this summer?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the most likely scenario, I think now that it's going to be in the summer, I think if the Knicks don't make the finals, it's a foregone conclusion to me. That would be a major disappointment. That would be them taking a step sideways from what they did last year and kind of deciding they need to get Giannis to move over the top. I was texting you earlier this week. I feel like inevitably that's kind of the move they need to make to get over the top, but we'll see. Obviously in the playoffs, that's a whole other story. Giannis just doesn't want to be the bad guy, and he's kind of been like the nice guy, Greek lovable guy since he's gotten into the league. He's an underdog story, right? He wasn't a high draft pick or anything. It took him a while to get to the really elite level, and since he's been there, he's been great. And he's always, I remember the post-game press conferences of them after losing in the playoffs, how he's like, there are no failures in the NBA, that kind of thing. Like, he's always been like this very like level-headed, mentally at peace, like lovable guy who now really doesn't have anything to prove. It's just about him carrying on his greatness and finding the best team to do so. And in the NBA, especially today's NBA, where it's hard to trade really good players, you kind of got to be the bad guy in order to force your way out. Something that our good friend James Harden is an expert at, and I guess he didn't want to do that to Milwaukee. But the reality is, you don't know anything to Milwaukee, man. Like, hey, maybe they'll be mad at you if you force your way out. They'll be mad at you for like a year, but your legacy is, you're the greatest guy to suit up for the Bucks since Kareem, and you brought them a championship. You don't owe them a thing.
Right, you're still getting a statue in front of the stadium at the end of the day when you retire. You mentioned James Harden. Before we move on, nice segue to James Harden. Anything else on Giannis?
I don't think so. I feel like kind of empty and disappointed. Like, it felt like we were really building toward this. This would have been the biggest trade of the last 3-4 years, probably. Well, Luka trade, but yeah.
Right, it's a trade that we've known about. Obviously, that Luka trade out of nowhere, but yeah. And last thing I'll say for Giannis, I hope Shams doesn't care about his, what people think of him and his replies. Boy, were people going in on him. I mean, we could talk about that at the end of the episode, but geez, go ahead.
Giannis, it's not just Bucks fans in his replies, because Giannis brought in the entire country of Greece with him when he came to the NBA. I know every Greek person I know is a Bucks fan. And I know I'm Armenian. I know a good amount of Greeks were like tight like that. They're all massive Bucks fans, massive Giannis fans. So Shams has an entire country in his DMs and comments right now.
The irony, I mean, Giannis is coaching Shams at the Celebrity All-Star game. So that'll be an interesting one. But let's move on to James Harden, a trade that was made. So James Harden, just out of nowhere, we get the tweet saying, oh, James Harden wants to be traded. They're looking at Darius Garland for James Harden. Eventually, it was Darius Garland and a future second-round pick to the Clippers for James Harden. One, I mean, how shocked were you that this trade happened, Vincent? Obviously, you mentioned it. James Harden has a history of doing this to teams. Clippers are starting to play extremely well, and James is like, yeah, no, I'm out of here. And then two, how do you see this fit in Cleveland? Because I'll just say, I kind of like the fit. I won't lie.
Well, I guess I like the fit on paper. Knowing what James Harden, knowing his skill set, it's kind of an indictment on Garland that they jumped ship on him. A still pretty young player, very good player. He's really struggled with injuries, especially these toe and foot injuries that have kept him out for extended periods and have kind of hurt the chemistry of the Cavs team. And it's a Cavs team struggling for chemistry right now, like they dealt Hunter. As far as the fit goes, I actually kind of like it because I think it'll just allow Mitchell just be in attack mode. This happened when Harden came to the Sixers. It really just let Maxey be the shooting guard in attack mode. Just Harden's going to draw defenders, and then it's going to open up a lane for Maxey to drive to the hoop. And it's kind of the same thing with Mitchell. But James Harden is a proven commodity in the playoffs, Luke. I think sometimes we're unfair with how we treat certain players. Some players have a couple bad playoff series, and we indict them as a playoff joker. There's more than a decade of evidence on James Harden in the biggest possible games, not just being bad, but being abysmal. And the amount of the ball that he requires combined with awful shooting nights, sinks an entire team's chance in a single game, a game 7, as it often has been for Harden. So, do I like it for Cleveland in that sense that I think it's just an inevitability that he's going to have an awful shooting night and they're going to go home not wanting to give him an extension? Yes, but I guess as far as the moves you can make right now, I guess it's good. And it'll get something out of their bigs because Harden always gets something good out of your bigs too.
Yeah, and that's where I love it. I love the fit. If Harden is cool with being a facilitator, like he has been, a few years ago he led the league in assists. He's shown he can play that point guard position really well. I like what you said. It's going to move Donovan Mitchell off the ball between Garland being injured and Lonzo Ball being de facto, like doing nothing on the court this season. Yeah. Donovan Mitchell was having to bring the ball up and play point guard a lot. I think moving him to shooting guard, he's obviously a shooting guard in nature. Just like, hey, all right, you can do this. Like you said, be in attack mode. I think that'll pay dividends, for Mitchell. And I think the bigs, I think the pick and roll, whether it be with Evan Mobley in case Mobley wants to roll or pop, and I think the alley-oops to Jared Allen, I can just see Allen running the floor right now and James Harden throwing it up to him. But you mentioned it. That's the elephant in the room is the playoff performances. I watched Nick Wright eviscerate Harden.
Oh, yeah, it was great.
First thing first. It was incredible. And he listed all the stats, like 4 for 16 in game 6, like game 7, all these different things. And like you said, it's year after year after year. So, yes, I like this fit in Cleveland for Harden. But do I put this Cavs team over any team in the East? Not really. Maybe I give them more of a shot to beat Boston this year. Like, Boston, obviously, without Tatum, I want to see him in a playoff series that played great up to this point in the season. Maybe maybe the Cavs have a better shot against Boston, but against Detroit, against New York, I'd still pick the Knicks over Cleveland. Heck, even if Philly is healthy, looking good, like, that's a series. Like, again, at the end of the day, I'm not saying they got James Harden, put them, that's them over the edge, that's them going for it all. Like I saw the sports books, and I think they were doing this to protect themselves. But then when the trade was getting announced or rumored, they put Cleveland as the odds-on favorite to win the East. I think they did that so when the money got poured in, they wouldn't lose too much. I don't know, right? But no, again, I think they're still the 3rd, 4th, maybe 5th best team in the Eastern Conference. I like the fit. I don't know how much, come playoff time, it's going to lead to success. But I do like the fact that when one of them's on the bench, Donovan Mitchell or James Harden, the other will be on the floor. Like, that's still good. Like, Donovan Mitchell this year, when he'd go to the bench and Darius Garland was out, it felt like, okay, this is when teams make their run on the Cavs. You didn't have that second guy. Even Evan Mobley, who plays well, he's not your guy that's going to just get buckets like that. I think James Harden, if Spider needs a little time on the bench, James Harden can keep the team calm, keep teams from going on runs. But hey, we got to see it in the playoffs, and throughout Harden's career, we have not seen it.
Yeah, the Cavs, like, they had to make a move. Like, they have like a totally maxed out roster that needs to like be in a finals soon. I mean, I know I predicted them to be in the finals. It hasn't really gone my way this year as far as it pertains to them. And I guess if this is the last bullet you have left in the chamber, fire it, I think it's pretty much a scathing indictment on what Garland has been, and a lot of it's not his fault. But Garland's also been the guy that gets hunted in the playoffs defensively. I kind of like what the Clippers have been doing in this at this trade deadline. We'll talk about the Zubac deal later, but I think the Clippers, they're being realistic right now. Kawhi's playing the basketball of his life right now. He's amazing.
Yep. But
I think they're doing a little bit of retooling and getting younger. Because they came into this season with just this roster full of veterans. And like they've gotten progressively fewer and fewer, right? Chris Paul's floating out there somewhere, not on a team. Now Harden's out the door. So I kind of don't mind what the Clippers are doing here. And honestly, it's kind of a buy low situation when it comes to Garland, because you can get like a pretty much all-star level guard if you get him at his best. And what are you getting rid of? You're getting rid of, one of the worst playoff performers in the league, who's old. And he's going to get his numbers and he can get you some wins, but that's kind of it for James.
Interesting move. You talked about the Zubac move, which we'll talk about, but like them acquiring Benedict Mathurin from the hey, I like that.
Me too.
I think Mathurin's a good play, like young player, nothing crazy, not a cornerstone, but I think is a good role player, and he proved that last year with the Pacers. So
Totally.
I agree with you. I think they are building. I don't want to say they're building something for next year, but for the future. These are young pieces that, hey, you can continue to build around them. You're not in a total rebuild where you're tanking for the number one pick. It's like, okay, maybe we're a piece or two away. Either way, Harden to Cleveland. I did see a local club in Cleveland already put out a sign welcoming James Harden. Someone said James Harden and Deshaun Watson in the same city. There's going to be some women that are happy. So,
Come on, man. Harden, if that documentary is to be believed, Harden is a family man now. Off the market. We didn't have to get into that, but
I also did. I think I saw a lawsuit or another woman coming out and saying he has a kid that he hasn't talked about. So maybe
Great.
who knows it these days. But we do know James Harden's going to Cleveland. All right, another big trade. We had talked about this guy being traded, and then he got injured, and we were like, is he going to? That's Anthony Davis. He goes to the Washington Wizards. Obviously, if you remember, Trae Young went to the Wizards a few weeks before. AD's going to the Wizards. A whole haul. I'll just highlight it. Wizards get AD, Jaden Hardy, D'Angelo Russell, Dante Exum. Mavs get Middleton, AJ Johnson, Tyus Jones, Marvin Bagley. 2026 first-round pick. That's from Oklahoma City, so that'll be probably the 30th pick in the draft. A 2030 first-round pick via Golden State, which could be good. We don't know where Golden State will be in 4 years. And then 3 future second-round picks via the Wizards. I guess I'll lead with, who do you think, I don't know, won this trade? It feels like for the Mavs, they're just wiping their hands clean of Luka. The Luka trade, you don't have to look at AD on the court in a Mavs uniform and be like, oh, we traded this guy for Luka. There's like new regime. We'll get him out of there. And then what do you think of the duo of AD and Trae Young that'll be in Washington in the future?
Yeah, I thought we might have seen AD Trae Young duo in Atlanta. So this is just kind of an odd situation. Pretty serendipitous. I kind of don't mind it from what the Wizards are basically saying. All right, 2026 draft and the rebuild ends here. Like they're just like line in the sand. I guess they're happy with the accumulated young talent they've got, and there's been some good young talent. They have had some horrendous lottery luck. Like they're consistently one of the worst teams in the league. End up with Trey Johnson, who they like. They end up with Sarr when they finally get a good pick, and it's one of the worst drafts ever. But like Sarr's like shown good ability. He's going to be the center that AD likes to play next to. Obviously, AD loves playing next to someone who can handle a little more of the big man responsibilities. And then you've got Trae Young, and it's all going to come together next year. And I think that makes the Wizards a playoff team next year for sure, especially in the East. I don't know. I don't know about an Anthony Davis extension. I think that's what AD is looking for. I'm not sure. I don't know if the Wizards want to do it. I don't know if AD wants to be extended with the Washington Wizards. But I like it. Also, I mean, I forgot Marvin Bagley was in the league. I was a big Marvin Bagley guy coming out of Duke. Drafted over Luka Doncic, I believe. So
yeah, number 2.
Yeah, ironic.
Yeah. I only knew Marvin Bagley was still in the league because the Wizards played the Knicks like 2 games ago, and I was like, oh, Marvin Bagley. And Clyde Frazier kept calling him Bagman. He's like, Bagman got the rebound. Shout out to Bagman. But yeah, I think this is an interesting trade, and you bring up a good point about extensions. I like what the Wizards are doing. They're going to get a lottery pick.
Yeah.
Because I don't think AD and Trae Young are going to play again this season. No. I think they're going to say, AD, go get the surgery. Trae Young, you're not playing this year. So they're going to get a good pick. This draft is supposedly very good from everyone, and to a degree deep. So even if you don't get a top 3 pick, you're still getting, a valued guy in the top 8, I'd say. I do think the extensions, because I like how they're building it. If they were just going to go offer both Trae Young and AD extensions, I feel like the Wizards are just back at square one. Because I like the two paired together. I don't trust those two for the long term. You don't want to be paying Anthony Davis, and I heard King the Fourth Quarter on YouTube, Kenny Beecham, talk about it. You don't want to be giving AD an extension and paying him $50 million, $40 million, $50 million when he's 36, 37 years old. When at 32, he's played, 7 games or something, like
Right.
15 games this season.
Right.
I don't know if that's smart for your franchise. So it'll be interesting whether or not they reached out to the agents. And like, I know the Mavs didn't contact Rich Paul to make this trade. So did they say beforehand, hey, we'll trade for you, giving you an extension? So I don't want them to just give them max money, because then that limits what they can build around them and, kind of cuffs their future. For the Mavericks, though, I think this is a good trade. You get a couple first-round picks back. For the Mavericks, it's Cooper Flag time. All right, let's just – I mean, it was like this at the beginning of the season. It's just, hey, let's just give it to Cooper Flag. He's the reins for the next 15 years. Hopefully we don't have a GM like Nico Harrison trade him away in year 6 or whatever. I think it'll be interesting to see what they do with Kyrie, though. I don't know if Kyrie comes back this season.
Yeah.
Like, I'd love to see Kyrie back. Of course, Kyrie's one of the greatest players of all time. But I don't know if they bring Kyrie back. And do they trade him? I think that's, okay, let's just build around Cooper. We could still get a return for Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
Is that in play this summer? I don't know. Either way, I like it for both teams. It gives Wizards fans hope. And the same video that Kenny Beecham had, I think this is the 9th straight year that they've had a losing record. So it's like, okay, at least fans of Washington can finally say, all right, we got 2 guys that we feel confident that can win us a ball game. So I don't know. I mean, I like the trade for both sides. Again, this is a trade not for this year, but for next year for Washington. And we'll have to see how it plays out next year.
That's funny that this is the 9th straight season they've had a losing record. The Sixers played them in the first round in 2021 when they had Russell Westbrook and Beal was the scoring leader, and they were under 500 and got the 8th seed. I totally forgot about that. That's pretty great. I like that they just kind of settled to be good. I guess maybe it's not the best thing going forward, although like we'll see what this pick looks like. If you get a top 3 pick this year, like you're living. I watched. Did you watch Darren Peterson play DeBonsta?
Oh my goodness,
dude! Darren Peterson looks like Michael Jordan, and he even wears the armband on the forearm by the elbow. This dude, I'm all in on. I mean, it's not like a hot take to say. I think this guy's gonna be amazing. I think this guy's gonna be the next big thing, and DeBonsta's awesome.
I'm right there with you. Like, my only scare is Peterson has the injuries now and then, but still, I mean, the level he has, like, I've seen him play a few times because I watched TCU basketball, and like he lights TCU up. Like, granted, TCU's not BYU, but he does this to all schools. But when he's on the floor, he's the best player by a long shot. Yep. Even with DeBonsta, it was closer, but you could tell Peterson is all right. Peterson said, "This is the game I'm gonna show national television. Then I'm the number 1 pick." But yeah, there's a few guys. I mean, those 2. Then you got Cameron Boozer. Yeah. You got I think a kid from Arizona. I'm forgetting the name. Like, you got a good amount of people. Like, for Washington, I like. And then you already Trey Jones, Keyshawn George. You got Alex Sarr. You got a solid team of young guys. If Trae Young and Anthony Davis can stay on the floor, this could be a fun team in the East.
Yeah, totally.
Another trade that wasn't necessarily win now, but instead win next year. That's Utah Jazz. They traded for Jaren Jackson Jr. Interesting trade. I don't think a lot of people saw this one coming. And this was one of the trades to start the trade deadline. This was on February 3rd. This was like, we didn't really hear rumblings of this particular trade. Yeah, we knew JJJ and John Morant were probably on the trading block as Memphis is looking to rebuild. But this one caught people by surprise. The highlights, Memphis got Walter Clayton Jr., Kyle Anderson, Taylor Hendricks, and Georges Niang, and then 3 future first-round picks. Yeah. And then Utah got Jaren Jackson Jr. and a few other players. So basically, Utah gave up 3 first-rounders and a few role players to get JJJ. What you think about this trade? I mean, obviously, Jaren Jackson Jr. going to Utah now. Again, this is a Utah team that can play for the lottery. They'd probably prefer to get one of those top picks and pair them with Keontae George, Lauri Markkanen, Walker Kessler, now JJJ. Opinions on this trade? Similar to AD, I feel like it's next year that this trade could play off.
Yeah, it's weird. I know they love Keontae George in Utah right now, and he's been playing really well. And they like Lauri Markkanen. I saw this very interesting stat via @ZachCram on Twitter, who I believe does stats for ESPN. Over the last 3 seasons, 47 players are averaging at least 20 points per game. And the fewest assists in that group, Lauri Markkanen, 1.9, Jaren Jackson, 2.1. So not a lot of passing. Jaren also, like, for his size, like, the worst rebounder you'll ever see. Like, he's almost 7 feet tall and is a defensive player or one of the best rim protectors in the league and does not rebound. So I think they've got these two bigs in a league where a lot of teams are going back to double bigs and like trying to emphasize offensive rebounding. But they both have like these weird holes in their game. So maybe they'll like balance each other out a little bit, which I guess is good. And then, Keontae George will be your more ball dominant scorer, I guess. But I respect the game from the Grizzlies, getting some picks back for an asset that just isn't playing as well as he has in the past. And Jaren Jackson, they're gonna fully commit to tanking, I would imagine, once they likely inevitably get rid of Ja Morant, who also didn't move at this deadline. And I guess it's a floor raiser for Will Hardy and the Jazz, who are probably a little sick of just playing awful basketball over and over again, and maybe that's part of it. Mm-hmm. And finally having a good player in the building might really, really do something for them. But weird one. I don't really know what to make of it.
Yeah, because again, I've compared it to the Wizards trade, AD and Trae Young for next year. But the difference is the Jazz is in the West. The Eastern Conference, you can look at that Wizards team and be like, all right, they can make the play-in easy. In the West, it's like, all right, yeah, these are solid players, but is it enough to cohesively go together and make a playoff push in the West? Right. So, it's an interesting one. You give up 3 first-rounders. Obviously, they still had a good amount of first-rounders from Gobert, that trade. I think I saw something that Danny Ainge and the Utah Jazz, they're cool with trading the picks that they've gotten from other teams because they're like, we still have our first-round picks. We're just, we just got these picks to play with. So that's what they're saying. Okay, we'll trade these for a JJJ. I think it's an interesting team going forward. Quick note, Keontae George, I'll always root for Keontae George. I actually played against him in high school and played with him in a couple of games. I'm actually in a Ball is Life compilation having an assist to Keontae George. The video's out there. Dude. But yeah, I've played against Keontae George since I was like 13, 14.
That's awesome.
And I'll just quick tangent. With a local college around here, UTA, go to their basketball camp for a week. He wins Player of the Week. My mom, afterwards picks me up. She loves the story. She's like, you didn't win Player of the Week? And I was like, she was like, well, Mom's your biggest fan, whatever. I was like, Mom, this kid that won it, like, he's playing D1, like, he's legit. Turns out that's Keontae George. Incredible.
That's awesome.
I actually set a screen for him one time at a camp, and a coach took me out of the game and said, no, don't do that. Just let him go. You'll see. Just stand in the corner. Like, I kid you not. So I'm always rooting for Keontae George.
That's awesome.
Glad to see him doing well. But yeah, the Jazz, just an interesting one. I will note this. I thought this was interesting from Ramona Shelburne. She talked about this on the ESPN show yesterday, and this will be a segue to Golden State. Golden State actually had conversations with Memphis about JJJ. She said that it was in the realm of 2 first-round picks. Obviously, Utah gave up 3. It was 2 first-round picks and I think a couple players. But then Golden State heard that maybe Giannis was available. So they said, okay, we're going to, shelve these conversations, try and go for Giannis. Utah comes in out for 3 first-rounders and some players. That goes there. Obviously, Warriors don't get Giannis. No one gets Giannis. Warriors pivot to trading Kuminga to Atlanta, get back Porzingis. I don't love the trade at all. Honestly, I don't really love either side. I don't think Kuminga in Atlanta. I think it's Jalen Johnson's team in Atlanta. I think Kuminga's going to want the ball too much. I think he's going to be ball dominant. He's going to try and make up for lost time in Golden State. I don't think it's going to work there. And Porzingis, I feel like he hasn't been healthy since he helped the Celtics win a chip in 2022. So, this is one of those trades. It's like, okay, there's a couple names that were traded to separate teams, but doesn't move me at all, like, for either team, truthfully.
Yeah, it's amazing that we were made to care about, like, Jonathan Kuminga's trade value. Like, we were that desperate for, like, some move to happen that we were like, oh, what are the Warriors going to do with Kuminga? And he ends up getting traded for the corpse of Kristaps Porzingis. In past years, this would have been an awesome Warriors move. You got Porzingis, rim protector who spaces the floor. It would have been, like, the ideal. 5 years ago, Porzingis is maybe the ideal Golden State center. different situation now. I mean, what's this? I mean, Pajemski, Draymond, Al Horford, Porzingis. That's what this team is outside of Stephen Curry. Like, it's just not good with Jimmy Butler out with the ACL. Yeah, I guess the Warriors just felt like they had to make a move. But they just probably wanted to get something for Kuminga, who can, and maybe Porzingis will heal up and maybe they can add some assets and actually be all right. But yeah, the Warriors are a sad situation right now.
Yeah, I thought Windhorst said it perfectly a couple weeks ago. He was like, "I'm so sick of talking about Kuminga. This is the worst player that we have followed his trade." He's like, he just went off scorched earth. Like, I don't care about talking about Jonathan Kuminga. He is not good enough to be doing daily trade updates on whether or not, and he's completely correct. Before we get to your Philadelphia 76ers, I just want to add one point. The Cavs, because I know people are probably like, oh, they didn't only add James Harden. I thought the Cavs did a good job. They added Keon Ellis and Dennis Schroeder. Ellis is going to be a good defensive player, and Schroeder, I think Schroeder's the perfect backup point guard. I love Schroeder as a backup point guard on any team. I just want to mention that because I was going through all the trades here, and I think that that'll help not as much as James Harden, but I think that will help their second unit for them whenever one of the guys goes to the bench. All right, I know you mentioned this at the start. Let's just let you have the floor. Jared McCain, no longer a Philadelphia 76er, going to the defending champions that are the Oklahoma City Thunder. What did the 76ers get back in return? I'm looking for it here.
They got the Rockets' first-round pick and a second.
Okay. There you go. All right, the floor is yours. Reaction to this.
This is some of the most disgusting behavior from any. I mean, the Sixers have made so many idiotic moves in the past. So many moves that make you just like. A couple of years ago, they lost Isaiah Joe to the Thunder in the same deal. Like Isaiah Joe, up-and-coming shooter. And they let him go to the Thunder. Jared McCain is much better than Isaiah Joe was when they let him go. Jared McCain is the reason there was optimism going into the draft. There was a reason he was the sole reason to be a Sixers fan last year because everything was awful except for Jared McCain. Where do I even start with this? When it happened, everyone was like kind of, Sixers Twitter, Sixers fans, everyone's like, all right, there's another move coming. There's got to be another move coming. They got to be clearing something out. And then the deadline passes, and they're like, oh, yeah, we made Dominic Barlow a full-time player. And we got under the tax. Thanks, guys. And to be fair, Dominic Barlow does deserve to be a full-time player. He's totally overperformed this year. The Sixers have no front court because they paid Paul George and Embiid massive contracts, and it's totally killing us. And Josh Harris is trying to get under the tax because the Washington Commanders spent the most in free agency last year on a bunch of 30-year-old bums to finish with 4 wins. I mean, McCain is like the next. I mean, look, he doesn't have the handle of Steph Curry. He's not Steph Curry, okay? But he can shoot the lights out, and his relocation off of the ball is like it's Steph Curry like. It is what the NBA is about now. He can take over a game with his shooting. And he doesn't even need the ball to do it. And the vibes were so good around the Sixers team, and then they just took Maxi's best friend away. And I know he wasn't playing well this season. I know Nick Nurse can't figure out how to get him into the team. But why are the Sixers pretending to be a win now team when they clearly should just be getting all the experience they can for Maxey and VJ and McCain. And yeah, we'll get whatever we can out of Embiid. But this stinks, man. I mean, this team should have their eyes on the future. The Thunder get richer again. Maybe they'll be able to have some flexibility to sign Quentin Grimes in the offseason. But yeah, right now I'm just furious about Josh Harris wanting to get under the tax. I know the tax is devastating for owners. I don't care, man. It's a whole bigger thing too, in sports. In sports, we've got all these ownership groups. You have it with the Knicks. I mean, Dolan owns the Rangers too. These owners who own multiple teams and are essentially just laundering money between their different franchises, right? The Red Sox traded Rafael Devers last summer, and then their owners who own Liverpool over in England spend $500 million in the transfer window. It's pretty disgusting what's going on with these owners owning multiple teams. And so I just can't help. I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, Philadelphia 76ers fan, Washington Commanders hater. Watch how awful, how ridiculously the Commanders spent their money last offseason, how they bought just nothing but 30-year-old bums. Austin Eckler, Von Miller, Bobby Wagner, Javon Kinlaw, just non-contributing players. They might as well have just drafted guys who weren't even draft eligible. But instead they spent all this money out of Josh Harris's pocket, and now the Sixers have to pay. Now the Sixers have to lose the guy who was like going to turn around the franchise. And now just to get under the salary cap, but it is a salary cap now. It's not a luxury tax anymore. Thanks to CJ McCollum. I'm furious. Dude. I'm furious with this team. It's funny though.
I think, that was the perfect promo. If anyone was questioning whether or not Vincent knows his football stuff, yeah, there you go. There's Vincent. You go check out Vincent Zakian's channel. It's at the end of the day, the rich get richer. My friend who's a Knicks fan, no, he's a Thunder fan, excuse me. I'm the Knicks fan. He called me. We were talking trades after Alvarado got traded, and he was just laughing. I was like, what about you getting not Maxey, McCain? And he's like, rich get richer. I was like,
he's going to be amazing.
It makes no sense to me because we talked about before the season how fun this team could be with the guards, Maxey, Edgecombe, and McCain. And at the end of the day, you guys are going to have to move on from Embiid at some point, whether it be next year, 2 years down the line. Paul George isn't going to be around forever. Heck, he's not around for the next 25 games.
But we're paying for it now. Paul George isn't even on the court, and we got to get under the tab. Whatever. Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I thought it was ridiculous. I saw the trade notification. I was like, what did they get in return? And they got a pick. I was like,
not a good pick.
Not
a good pick at all.
Right. I was like the Sixers fans. I was like, something else. They got to be doing something else. They can't just be giving away Jared McCain. But maybe they lost faith in him after the knee surgery this year. I don't understand.
That could be part of it. Nick Nurse has really struggled to find a place for him this year. He's spent some time in the G League, but I forgot what it was. Oh yeah, the Rockets pick is going to be somewhere in the 20s, probably. That's where they drafted McCain. McCain fell to the Sixers. He's the best case scenario for that pick, for that kind of pick, somewhere in the 20s. It's a miracle. Maxey fell to them in the 20s too. Those guys are you don't see that in the NBA. You don't see guys that good with that high ceiling. He's such a plus player to me. There's just no downside to having Jared McCain on your team. And they're caught between two timelines right now. They're starting, VJ's playing at 40 minutes a game. They're trying to make him the future, but also I don't want us to be. I know Embiid's scoring is back up to what it was, but he still isn't the player he used to be. And I want us to have a future. And I thought McCain would be a huge part of that future. And it's just not going to happen. We're just paying for giving out these awful contracts and Josh Harris. So. Anyway, that's all I got.
Well, there you go. Well, Vincent's angry with his team. I absolutely love the Knicks trade deadline. They made one move. I'll just say it. The Knicks acquire Jose Alvarado from the Pelicans. They got off Gershon Yabusele's contract, which is huge. Even if they didn't, because they traded Yabusele to Chicago for Dalen Terry. And it's Yabusele has a player option. He would have 1,000%. It was $5 million for next year. Would 1,000% said yes, I'm taking it. Whatever, that's fine. Even if they didn't trade Dalen Terry and I think a couple second rounders to New Orleans, that's a win in itself. Now you basically trade Yabusele for Jose Alvarado, a couple picks as well, second round picks, whatever. This is I couldn't be happier. A Brooklyn dude playing in New York now. He has a dog. I told you
they're gonna love him. They're gonna love
him. Oh my! I said they need a dog because their whole team is soft. He is a dog. Him and Josh Hart have already played together. Josh Hart loves the dude. I think he's going to be a huge backup point guard because of the fact Deuce McBride is now out until the playoffs, which the Knicks did a great job of keeping that secret until after the trade went through, so the New Orleans couldn't milk him for anything more. And Mike Brown has shown times he loves Tyler Kolek, and at times he's going to sit Tyler Kolek. So we don't know in a big game, is Tyler Kolek going to be our second guard? Now, that isn't a question. We're going to have Alvarado as our second guy. He plays defense, and I mentioned the Knicks getting rid of Yabusele's contract. This now opens up the Knicks being able to, okay, we're going to extend Mitchell Robinson in the offseason. And I think when you watch the Knicks, for me, my 3 untouchables on this roster: Brunson, OG Anunoby, and Mitchell
Mm.
Robinson. And I don't say Josh Hart because you probably need Josh Hart in a mega trade. So I understand that he might be a little expendable. But those 3 and Mitchell Robinson, when you watch a Knicks game, when you watch them play the Denver Nuggets in double
Totally.
OT, Mitchell Robinson jumps off
He
the
did.
screen to you. And he's not your traditional big at all. He's awkward, but he's gonna guard a Jamal Murray
You got a steal
at
on
the
Murray, yeah.
3-point line
Amazing.
better than a lot of big guys. And like it's unbelievable because the dude moves so awkward, but he does it time and time again. When Tatum, I think it was game 2 in the playoffs, when Tatum got around the screen, who was there to force him to go to the corner where Mikal Bridges snatched the ball from him? That was Mitchell Robinson. Who is the best offensive rebounder in the league? He gets 5 offensive boards a game. Like, he's an all-time offensive rebounder, Mitchell Robinson. Again, that's what this getting rid of the Yabusele contract opens up for you next year. But Alvarado this year, I can't wait. Like, I think him at MSG, him in the Knicks uniform, I think everything, like, this is a guy that his name's been floated around since December. I'd love if they would have got a one of the centers, Messi, from Pelicans, but that probably would cost a little too much. It's what it is. I think Alvarado, our backup guy, as Deuce McBride's out, I think he's going to be perfect in New York.
Totally agree. I think they're gonna love him. Speaking of Robinson, I watched Nuggets Knicks the other night. So like on one possession, he's like forcing tough shots from Jokic, who no one forces tough shots from, and then he gets switched on to Jamal Murray and gets his hands in the cookie jar. Like, and Cat like played an awful game. Bridges played an awful game, and I was like, yeah, I see the value.
Mm-hmm. What's crazy? I didn't think Cat played that.
Well, he was in foul trouble.
Starting
He was
to
in
play
foul
better.
trouble.
Right. But double. I think he found out
overtime,
in
yeah.
OT. So it's like I'll give him a little
Yeah.
pass for that.
Got hit in the face.
But right, I do think that kind of the season starts now for the Knicks. Bridges and Cat, you're not getting traded this year. You're not going to Milwaukee. You're not going to Portland. All right, I don't want to hear any feelings about whether or not I feel betrayed. You're here for us. It's simple. You guys make the finals, you're going to stay probably. If you don't make the finals, you could get shipped off, and you can't say anything about it. Totally. This is your time to make a run. So I honestly, like, the season really starts today for the Knicks. I want to see a different Cat. I want to see a different Bridges.
I like it. We should talk Zubats to Indiana.
Yes, thank you. Zubac goes to Indiana. Another trade that isn't necessarily win now, but instead is, all right, we're going to get ready for next year when Tyrese Halliburton comes back. So the trade is Indiana gets Zubac and Kobe Brown. LA receives Benedict Mathurin, as we talked before. Isaiah Jackson, a 2026 first-round pick, which is Indiana. I think you have the protections.
It's 1 through 4.
The 2029.
Protected 1 through 4 and 10 through 30. So if it's 5 through 9, the Clippers get it.
I mean, these protections get more and more creative. And then a 2029 first-round pick from Indiana and a 2028 second-round pick from Indiana. That's what the Clippers get. Thoughts on this trade? Again, this isn't a win now. Like, I already saw a Pacers fan saying, I saw Zubac just had a kid 2 days ago, and they're like, oh, you know what? Why don't you just report to the team in July? Spend all the time you need. Go on paternity, whatever you need, because you want this pick to be in a good position for the Indiana Pacers. You get a top pick, you get Halliburton back, you get Zubac. Like, this team is a legit, like, not even just a contender, but a title favorite in not only the East, but maybe the NBA when Halliburton comes back, if he's back to form. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, if they get a top 4, if they get one of the guys, if they get Darren Peterson, if they get DeBonsta, if they get Boozer, I think they're going to the finals next year. And I mean, they'll be rookies, they'll still be figuring it out. But with what Halliburton's shown us, with what Neesmith has shown us, with what Nembhard has shown us, as role players on that team, I love Zubac is playing the best basketball of his life. Part of that's, when you get paired with James Harden as a big man, you're going to succeed. But he's been great the past couple of years. He's been better than Miles Turner the past couple of years. He doesn't really stretch the floor like Miles, but I think him and Halliburton are going to be like this. It's going to be great for them. I'm fascinated by they're literally gambling on the lottery. That's, if you want to synthesize what the Pacers are doing with this pick, they're saying if it isn't one of the guys, one of the big 4 in this upcoming draft, keep it. Because I severely doubt it's going to end up outside of the top 10, but there's definitely a chance it ends up outside of the top 4. For the Clippers get their first round pick back, which they desperately, or potentially get a first round pick this year, which they desperately needed because the Thunder have their pick. And again, I like they're buying low on guys. Like, there's a chance Garland and Mathurin could be a really nice guard combo going forward. With Kawhi still clearly having a lot of good basketball in the tank. So I like the move for both sides. I think it's pretty smart in general. Fortune favors the bold, as they say. So I really, the Pacers are just everything's kind of just clicking for the Pacers organizationally right now. Obviously they got hit with the worst luck possible in Game 7 of the NBA Finals, but it feels like they're making all the right moves. And it didn't feel great when they lost Miles Turner over the summer, and now it feels totally fine to me.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Zubac looking good, with Harden. Like, imagine Halliburton as the facilitator. Like, Harden's already been, I mentioned it, the Harden trade, like, he has turned into a facilitator. I don't think anybody would argue that Halliburton is by far a better facilitator right now than James Harden. Like, I think that combination will be incredible. Again, this whole Pacers team, you said all those players, and you forgot to mention Pascal Siakam. Like, they also got Siakam.
Sorry, I forgot about Siakam.
It's like this team is, like, as a Knicks fan, it's like, please make the run this year. Like, this Pacers team is so good. Like, and I can't stand the Pacers.
They're here to stay.
But they are so good. Like, they look on paper so good. Of course, Achilles is tough. We'll have to see how Halliburton returns. But even if he's 75%, like, this is the team that's like, all right, this is a favorite in the NBA. I like the trade for both sides. You mentioned it. We mentioned at the top, Mathurin. Dude, for some reason, gets a superstar whistle, though. Like, I've never seen a role player get a superstar whistle like he does. But hey,
you're still mad. Mad.
1,000,000%. But at the end of the day, I like it. I do hope for the Clippers' sake. I mean, they're hoping it for their sake as well. They do get that lottery pick, that it does fall outside the protections, especially outside the top 4.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting to pair one of those top 5 guys in there with Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers. But at the end of the day, I don't know how long Kawhi is going to stay a Clipper. I know they were already starting to field some calls about Kawhi as like the last 30 minutes or something it was reported of the deadline. Yeah. But overall, I kind of makes sense, for both sides. Another trade that isn't win now, but instead win next year. So that was kind of one of the buzzer beaters of the trade deadline coming in last hour or so. Indiana, I think they made the right call here, and I think the Clippers did as well. All right, Vincent, any other trades that we missed or didn't hit?
Nothing major, I don't think. Oh, the Bulls just have 1 million guards and 1 million second-round picks.
Unbelievable.
That's all I got. And the Wolves, I was looking for the Wolves to do something. They got rid of Dillingham and brought in Ayo Dosunmu.
Yeah.
Which I guess is an upgrade, better facilitator, and they keep Conley. I liked Conley was on the Charlotte Hornets for like a second, and I was like, this is great. The Hornets need a veteran so desperately because they're like such an exciting young team. Like, they've got so many awesome players, but they need one Mike Conley on that team to just keep things kind of in order. So I love that, and Mike Conley can finally like chill out and not have to actually play real minutes. He's like so far past he shouldn't be playing. I mean, he's still pretty good, but like. The Timberwolves has been working him like a dog. And so I guess Ayo coming in will take some of that stress off of him. But for a second, it was great. Yeah. For a second, it was awesome.
Charlotte Hornet legend, Mike Conley. One trade I do want to mention, Vucevic to Boston.
Yeah.
Chicago received Anthony Simons. Who we mentioned Chicago. It's funny, I'll just say this about Chicago. ESPN had like the graph of their depth, and it was like 7 guards to 3 bigs, and then they actually put forward Patrick Williams on there twice in like the bench player. It's like, no, you don't have that many forwards, Chicago. It's still a lot more guards. But Vucevic to Boston. I like the fit on offense for Boston because Vucevic can stretch the floor a little bit, a la sort of like an Al Horford, I believe. But I do think on defense, Vucevic is not the greatest defender. He's a little slow, and as a Knicks fan, I'm looking at it like, all right, Cat, that's kind of your mismatch. That's where you should take advantage. Overall, though, I think it was a nice trade for Boston. I think once he gets acclimated to that system, especially offensively, like they could do some damage, and especially if Jason Tatum returns next year. right now, I don't think Tatum's returning this year, but next year, this team with a Vucevic and healthy Tatum, like, all right, they're another team in the East that could be title favorites.
Yeah, totally. Even if Tatum does come back this year, the Celtics like have a decent shot. But yeah, get ready to learn 8 threes a game, buddy.
Yep.
That's what it's the Boston Celtics. It's Joe Mazzulla's Boston Celtics. Yeah, obviously not the on-ball defender that Al Horford is, not the rim protector Porzingis is, but a solid big who can shoot. And I don't know, the Celtics get the best out of their players, man. They got a lot out of Simons.
Yeah.
And Simons was always going to be a player they were going to move on from as soon as they could, but they drove his value up and got a solid big in return for it. Yeah, Celtics, they just do business right. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, it feels like perfect offensive match. Defensively, we'll have to see, but either way, probably a really good move for the Celtics, who are still, I think, tied for second place in the East right now. So,
yeah, geez.
Unbelievable. All right, as we wrap everything up, any closing words on the trade deadline, what we've seen, this past week, Vincent?
It was wildly entertaining. It kind of killed Super Bowl week.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, Super Bowl week's kind of overrated anyway. It's just a bunch of media and stuff in the same place. But nice to know the NBA still got it in that sense that, hey, when we really start dealing, and it's nice to know that teams aren't like totally scared of making trades. A lot of these are like unorthodox, and we're seeing new methods of trading with this like Pacers pick or Pacers the protections on their picks and stuff. But I had such a great time doing it. I have Michael Porter Jr. quote of the week real quick. Sorry.
Go right ahead.
He didn't say anything crazy. He was on a podcast with Cam Johnson, who he was traded for on the new version of The Old Man and the Three. And he said at first, when he first got to the Nuggets, he thought Mason Plumlee was better than Jokic. I thought Mason Plumlee, not a bad player.
Mason Plumlee got traded. He's in OKC now.
I think that's right.
Yeah, my Thunder friend,
Duke guy.
Yeah, I also saw a clip from that podcast when Michael Porter Jr. accidentally leaked Adam Silver's phone number. He said they called him in, and he thought he's getting kicked out of the league before he even was drafted.
Yeah, I forgot that's on his rap sheet. Is that he leaked Adam?
Or even
it's just an infinite.
Like that Snapchat story,
amazing,
incredible. Overall, I think, at the end of the day, the big fish that was Giannis Antetokounmpo stays put in Milwaukee. But I think we're going to see the saga as soon as the season ends. It's going to return. Where does Giannis go? He's going to be offered an extension, I think. I forget what date, but he's going to have a choice. Do I stay here in Milwaukee, or do we just start this thing all over again? And does Milwaukee start taking offers and fielding offers again in the summer? We'll have to see, but overall, I think a lot of moves were made. Again, we talked about a few moves that were not win now, but win next year. So we'll have to see how those play out. But a few win now moves like a James Harden to Cleveland. We'll see how it pans out this year. Hey, we appreciate everyone tuning in and listening to Court Vision. Again, subscribe here on Backman Sports. Comment below what your favorite trade was, what you thought about Giannis saga. Let me know in the comments below. Follow and subscribe to Vincent at Vincent Zakian on YouTube. All football content coming at you and all other sports content as well. Link is also in the description. Hey, for Court Vision, that's all we got for you. Peace. We're out.